Welcome to Possibility Sheets. This episode, we're going to have a special guest. We're going to have our Executive Director, Yesenia Gonzalez. And before we start the interview, we're going to explain what is Possibility Sheets. Possibility Sheets is our tool in our parent-child education program. And it's an important tool because it tells us how parents can learn and can teach the children all the concepts that parents are learning through this tool in our toy making class with our AVANCE toys. So thank you, Mrs. Yesenia, for being here. And your
Thank you for inviting me.
Oh. And we're so excited because this is a great opportunity that we have for our community, our staff, and our parents to know about AVANCE and all of those important people or staff that we have in our team. And Yesenia Gonzalez is a story of resilience, passion, and dedication for AVANCE. So, Ms. Yesenia, tell us a little bit about your early days in AVANCE as a parent educator. How everything started in AVANCE.
Well, gosh, I'm going on 30 years of working at AVANCE, and I don't want to say work, yes, but it's a mission. It's been my mission. So I started at AVANCE almost 30 years ago, and I actually started at the original Mirasol housing property where AVANCE was founded by Dr. Gloria Rodriguez and her sisters and some of her best friends. So it was very grassroots at the Mirasol housing. I was the parent educator, but actually I was hired as a home educator. That was the offer that was made to me straight out of college. I was looking for work, and I saw it on a newspaper. You know, back then we would do newspaper printouts, and you could find jobs on the newspaper printing. So, yes, I was called by Mercedes Benavides and offered an interview for a home educator position. So I was excited, out of college, eager to get working. So I accepted the interview. So that's how I came to AVANCE. But little did I know, very quickly, the interview was actually also for a parent educator at the time. So that's how I came on to AVANCE. I interviewed very nervously. I didn't know I was actually interviewing with our founder, Dr. Gloria Rodriguez, Mercedes Perez de Colon, Rebecca Cervantes, and Ms. Mercy Benavides. So I just saw 4 beautiful women standing greeting me, and I was like, oh boy, what am I getting myself into? But it was exciting. That's how I started at AVANCE.
Yeah.
My first steps.
That is great, Ms. Yesenia. And thank you for sharing the names of our funders, but also of our staff and our team that made an impact in our community of San Antonio, but also in this beautiful organization has grown to right now the way that we have AVANCE in Texas, but also in other states. The next question is, what were the pivotal moments of challenges that shaped your path to becoming executive director for AVANCE San Antonio?
That's a great question. It's been a journey with AVANCE, growing, starting as a home educator, moving on to a parent educator, and then coordination, management, directorship, supervising. All of those roles were new for me. However, I will share with you that along the way, there was always someone next to me. And that was always important, to have someone with me, guiding me, helping me. Was it easy? No, it was not easy. When you are in the nonprofit sector, and especially with a mission like ours, helping families through our parenting education program, early childhood education, and it wasn't an easy journey, because there were a lot of days that you have to do a lot of learning and reading and writing. But I will tell you, I was never left alone. If there was any questions I had, anything I needed, there's always someone there. So it was a journey. It was always, I was always eager. I've always been eager to learn. That's been my thing. I love reading. So I was always looking for the next challenge and seeing again these strong women running this organization, and that commitment, that passion, we would hear often, and we still do to this day, is like Avance, going the extra mile, the Avance way. I was like, what is that? So we created that. We developed that over the years. And it's what it is now. It's what motivates you at Avance, and it's welcoming families to the door, smiling with them. They are the most important thing that matters for the day that they're with us. But yeah, it was going through that journey, growing, but also taking advantage of what was being offered to me. If there was trainings, there was staff development, if there were seminars, you name it, I would take that opportunity. And a lot of times I would find myself doing the research. Of course, we're always looking for free things to get training of, right? Because a lot of times we couldn't afford. But those trainings came along slowly but surely. So yeah, that's how I also learned and started growing at Avance, and always staying in my lane as well, and knowing where to go not to go in a way, but also challenging my own self, because I'm very reserved. In a way, I keep to myself, but I'm also very observant. So I would always look at what are the leaders in our organization doing? What are they looking up? What are they talking about? Who are they talking with? So that I've always been that kind of person that's observing and listening and just following that. So that's in a way how I continue to grow. And yeah, it takes a lot of time, commitment, because you also sacrifice. You sacrifice a lot, especially if you have a young family. You will sacrifice, but as long as you have your family support, you're going to be okay. And that's how I got where I'm at.
And thank you so much for sharing your journey, because not a lot of people understand, especially somebody that started as a home educator, parent educator, what it takes to be in the position that you are now. And that's what we want at the end for our staff, right? And our employees in this organization, that those opportunities, to take advantage of those opportunities, to learn from each other, but at the end to work as a team. And that's what we want, to follow our mission and helping our families and children. So thank you so much for sharing. Has someone raised in the very community of San Antonio, and I know you have shared this when we talk about our organization, that you come from our very community and now you serve. How do you bring influence, and especially your career and passion for family engagement? What really, as a person that coming from the community, want our families and our staff also to have that influence in our community and our family engagement?
Well, my family is from Mexico. My mother was born and raised here in San Antonio, and my mother's from Mexico, from a very southern part of Mexico, Guerrero. And my father is from a little bit northern part of Mexico, San Luis Potosí, Matehuala. And I was raised by my two parents who came here from Mexico with nothing. My father was a dishwasher when he first came to the United States, and my mother was a seamstress. She learned that trade when she was a very little girl, and she brought it with her, and she made little girl dresses. So my roots go back to when she worked here at some of the fabricas, making dresses, little dresses, and actually also I believe, like she tells me a story that she made police uniforms. So she would make that, but when she was making baby dresses at the fabrica, she would take me with her. And I would sit by her, and I would see her with the máquina, the sewing machine. Back then you had to use your feet a lot to press on the máquina. Yeah, the pedals. So I would sit next to her, and I just remember seeing her working so fast and so diligently, and putting dresses in a box. So from a very early age, I observed my mother working hard, sitting next to her, and then, because I guess she didn't have childcare for me. I don't know. But I would sit with her there, and then, but that's kind of where my work ethic started, I would say, right? Seeing my parents. And then life happens. And my father passes away when I'm 8 years old. And my mother very quickly became the sole provider of the family. And she became a single parent, widow. I was 8 years old, very unexpected. My father passed away in an accident, a tragic accident. And here we are with nothing now. So that's where, my mother didn't deal well with life when that happened. And she went through several years of depression. And she never recovered, honestly. She never recovered from that. She over the years, it didn't get easier for us. And then, I will share with you, I am a child, and my sister and my brother are children of a parent with mental illness. And the journey was not easy, because here's a parent caring for 3 young children, well, as much as she could, but also trying to deal with what's happened to her, and, the love of her life passing on. So it took a toll on the family. But one thing I will tell you is we were not separated. My mother had this endurance, I don't know what you call it, but her commitment, her love for us was to never be separated. Was life easy for us? No. And that's one thing that I bring to Avance, is that resiliency that you mentioned earlier, because no matter what, your family will always be there to back you up and to support you. And that's what my mother did. So growing up very early, and then in this community, in the west side of San Antonio, and going to school, we did move a lot as well. I will share with you, we moved about 22 times. So for me and my sister and my siblings, moving around became kind of natural. So we would try to make friends, but it wasn't easy at times. And that's why, I think I also bring that to Avance when I was a parent educator teaching, ensuring that parents understand the importance of having a foundation, a stable foundation for their children, as much as they can, right? Because sometimes it's out of our control, but we could do a lot as parents to bring that stability for our children. So yeah, growing up in the community, going to school here, but also going to school in California and learning, and that kind of, it built me, it created me, and it made me stronger. But one thing I always have is my mother was always there with us, no matter what. I don't know how she did it. I don't know how we did, but we did it. And school, education was always there too. Yes, we would move around a lot, but there was always someone there to help us and kind of walk us through and keep us going in school. And that's kind of how stayed in school. But again, earlier I mentioned I have the passion for reading. So anywhere where I see a book or a magazine, I would just grab it. Or if there was a poster on the wall or whatever it was, I was like, what does it say? ¿Qué dice? ¿Qué dice?
That is great. And thank you for sharing, because that's very important to understand where we're coming from, but also to identify ourselves with our families that we serve, that we understand at one point, or depending, right, what is the families are going through, that we understand that life is not easy, but if we provide that stability, those opportunities, but also love for the family, for our parents, that will help us, but thank you for sharing. And now, something that you would like to share about your family, about how many children do you have? You would like to share how many children you have and your family now on, how they doing?
Of course. I have 3 beautiful children, been married for almost 30 years, and my husband's very supportive. Our children are doing wonderful. I have a son, Darian Fernando. He is a captain in the military, U.S. Army. And our middle child, Victoria, she is a physician assistant, about to get her PhD here in a couple months. And she's lives in Dallas. And then our youngest, Elisa, she's at Princeton, sophomore year. And, I have my children, our children, who have, they keep me going. They are, each of them are so different. And I know that that's something that we also teach in our AVANCE parenting curriculum is, that every child is different. So don't compare your children to each other, because every child is unique and special in their own way, and they have their own gifts. And I think at times, with our parents, we're caretakers, and my parent, and I was there too. You can't help it at times to say, oh, your brother's this way or your sister's that way. Why can't you be like that? It's like you have to catch yourself.
Yes.
Because your children are listening to you, and they don't forget. So our 3 children are doing wonderful. They have this passion also for learning. They are positive contributors of our community, and they also give back, because that's something that we have also instilled in them to never forget where they came from and where their ancestors and their family came from, because you have to know where you come from to know where you're going. And they grew up hearing that from me and my husband all the time. So
that is good.
I'm hoping that helped.
That is great advice for our children to know, right, where they're coming from, but also in order for them to know where they're going to. Yeah. So that is great. And now, talking about AVANCE. Our AVANCE mission is deeply rooted in the belief that parents are the first and most important teachers. And that is something that we teach in our parenting class since day one, when they come through our doors, that they're the most important teacher for the children. How does the philosophy drive the programs you oversee now in AVANCE San Antonio? Our mission, our values. How does day by day what you do in AVANCE help our programs, especially the programs that we have here in San Antonio?
Our mission at AVANCE is what is the foundation of what keeps us going every day, and our core values, in our principles. If we do not apply the mission to what we do each and every day in our environment, in our work in helping families, then we are not AVANCE then. And I will always hold very closely to me the words that Dr. Rodriguez told me many years ago. And I think about it and I was like, okay, I was young back then, and she would always say when she would come visit, because she would come visit us often, she would say, if I don't see families smiling, children, or hear children laughing, then there's something happening. And that was always like her temperature check to see if we were all applying the AVANCE mission, the core values, the AVANCE way. And I've never forgotten that, because when you have families who are coming to your program, where you're going to them too, right? The smiling, the laughter, the learning, that is all part of AVANCE, our mission. And that's why we're here. And in the role that I'm in now as the executive director, in every role that I have been in at AVANCE, I have always carried that with me. And as long as you stay to your mission, we're going to be okay. Because that's our glue. That's what keeps us together, our principles, why we're here. And it's true, yes, Dr. Rodriguez was saying this many years ago in the 70s when early childhood research was still coming out, that parents are their child's first and most important teacher. And I remember, and you probably remember this too, when we were doing the questionnaires, the APQs, the AVANCE parenting questionnaires, and as educators, we would look at that data. How were the parents answering these questions? Because that was a question we would ask the parents. And what would they answer most of the time? Oh, the first grade teacher. Oh, their kindergarten teacher. Because the question was, who is your child's first and most important teacher? As simple as that, simple. And what would they answer all the time? Was somebody else is their teacher.
Somebody else, or my child's not going to school yet. He doesn't have a teacher yet. So, but they didn't realize that they are the most important teacher.
Exactly. So that's, remembering that information, those responses coming back and reviewing that, that's where, to me, that's also part of what has rooted me, is really that our missions work continues on because there's new parents every day and there's babies being born every day. And Avance is not about, being the super parent of the world. No, it's about being a parent. And the tools that you have brought with you or learned with you, bring them with you. And I think Georgette would say this a lot. Georgette Chapa, one of our parent educators, she would say, the tools that they have, they have them with them, but we're going to help you sharpen them a little bit more in your toolbox. And I've always remembered that too, because it's true. That's part of our mission. We're not here to judge parents or who's caring for them. We're here to support them. And because early childhood raising children is not easy. There's not a magical book or, reading that we're going to get, you're going to have the perfect child in the world. That doesn't exist. There's beautiful babies that are, again, as I said earlier, every child has their gift and their talent. And that's where our parents and caretakers come in as parent educators to help them through that journey.
And that is great that you share that, because on my personal note, something that really drew me to Avance and something that I decided, I want to be here, I want to work for this beautiful organization, is the welcomeness. The first day that I came through our doors, and this was at our center at Cortez, I felt so welcome. I never felt that in my life at that time. Coming to organization with my child when he was 18 months or 60 months old. So that is something like, no, I want to be here. That feeling, and that is what we want our families and our staff to know, to follow our mission and make the parents feel that they have value. And that is very great that we, through the years and after 50 years, we're still doing that, following our mission. So, Ms. Yesenia, what are some of the most impactful Avance parent stories that you can share? I know we have many, but do you have a specific now that you remember you would like to share Avance parent success story?
You're right. There's so many, and over the years, there's so many successful stories or stories of success with our parents and their children. I can sit here with you for hours and share many of those stories. I will share one. It's, we teaching parenting education every day with different groups of parents. Every group of parents is different from one another. And you know how this is, right? Because we have different parenting groups throughout the week, throughout the year. And every parent group builds its own unique personality. But there's always a parent or two that will stand out and you'll never forget. I remember it was probably my second, third year teaching parenting. And I was still, it takes you about a good year or 2 years to get very comfortable with teaching.
Yes, that's true.
But I had, you have some parents that will always stand out. In good ways, But I had this one parent in my class, and actually I'll go back. It was the first to second year, and it was at Mirasol, young parent, and kind of pushy in a way, positive way, kind of testing me. And I said, okay, I know what this is about. It's a parent who kind of kept, I know the answer, or interrupting, or in a good way, right? So what do you do as a parent educator? You encourage the communication, the discussion, give them their time, but also manage the time so that others could speak. So this one parent is in my class and never misses a day. I'll be honest with you. Full transparency. Sometimes as a parent educator, you're like, is she coming to class today?
I know.
So sure enough, great attendance. Her baby with us too. This parent finished parenting. She was with me along with her other classmates all during the 9 months. And I would also drive the van back then. I don't know if that's the right thing to say now, but I will say it. Back then, we would do everything. Hacíamos de todo.
Yes, we did.
And if I had to jump in the van and drive the van, that's what I would do and go pick up parents and their children. So I would also pick her up. And I remember one day going in the morning. She lived at the Via Viramendi, and I'm knocking on her door, and she's there with her baby crying. And I asked her if she was okay. And she said she was fine. I said, but why are you crying? What's going on? And I said, are you coming to class? I'm here to pick you up. So there was something going on in her family, and it was not easy. Her life was not easy. And I came to find out that not only was she with her baby's dad there, she was also raising her own siblings. Mm-hmm. And they were young siblings, and her parents were not doing well. They were involved in some things that weren't, life happens again. But she was there raising her siblings. So I told her, you know what, let's go to class, and then we can talk about it. And she wouldn't miss class. So we picked her up, take her to class, and then she, the story goes, she finished. She kept going. And I will tell you, once she graduated from parenting with her baby girl, her little girl, and I don't know if I can say names or not, but yes. Her name was, okay.
Yes.
Her name was Elizabeth Reyes, mm-hmm. and her baby Emily, beautiful baby. And she finished graduating. She wanted to continue on. She wanted to learn about going to college. Mm-hmm. What is college? What was that about? Because she would hear it in parenting. Like, I would tell the parents, don't stop now, continue. And she wanted to know what was that about. So we got her with, oh my goodness, back then it was Miss Rita San Miguel. Mm-hmm. I can't believe I still remember these names. Beautiful woman. She was our first adult education coordinator. Oh. Mm-hmm. And let me tell you, she would take parents by the hand, walk them over to college, get them to do the financial aid, the FAFSA, and get them going. So Liz was one of her first students, and then she moved on to our AVANCE Cortez Center, mm-hmm. and that's where Emily would get the care. And Liz now is one of our early learning inclusion managers years later, and she has 3 beautiful children. They're very successful, and she has grandbabies too. Mm-hmm. And she went on to get her her CDA, because she worked at AVANCE with us. Got her CDA, her AA, her BA, and I believe she's gotten her master's or working on her master's. But mm-hmm. yeah, that was Liz Reyes. Mm-hmm.
And that is great, you sharing her story, because as AVANCE, we have many stories, but mm-hmm. we have especially that those that work and continue working with us, that are still, mm-hmm. Giving back to our families, our mm-hmm. communities. And Liz is a great example of what us with having a support system in mm-hmm. AVANCE, but also having that belief that you can do it. Sometimes that's what our parents, what they need, mm-hmm. that trust and the belief that they can do it. So thank mm-hmm. you for sharing. And now through mm-hmm. the years, how do you ensure that AVANCE continues to adapt and meet the evolving needs, especially for our families? Mm-hmm. What we are doing now so we can continue following our mission?
It is important to continue evolving as a nonprofit organization. AVANCE has been here for 50 years. Mm-hmm. And for a nonprofit organization to be here for 50 years, it's not an easy, there's challenges, but at the same time, there's many accolades. But it's always important to stay focused on your mission. And, there's a lot of great things that are happening at AVANCE, but it's important for the leadership of AVANCE to stay involved, engaged in the communities where we're at. Because if we don't stay engaged in the communities where we're at, then we're not going to know what's going on or what are the needs. We have to be at the table. And I know that many times, with AVANCE, you walk into a room and they're like, oh, there's AVANCE, or come over or sit with mm-hmm. me. It feels good to know that, but at the same time, you carry that responsibility and that reputation that if you're going to be at the table, you're being called to the table because you are an expert. And I always say that to my leadership. Each one of you are experts in your own field, but you bring that together and we're stronger. But yeah, definitely, being engaged and involved in the community and staying up to date on what's happening in the field of early childhood and family engagement is very important. As far as AVANCE, 50 years later, to say that we're still here in the community, Because there's many nonprofits that are not. They started when Avance was founded many years ago, and some, are not there anymore. But there's something to say about an organization, and there's many other great organizations right in the community. Some who are older than Avance that have been in the community for
partners.
years. That's key too. Very important etiquette to be a partner, to establish partnerships in the community, but also to deliver on what you say you're going to do, and to also, the partner that you're working with is to work with them to hold each other accountable, because it's not about me, it's not about Yesenia, it's about the families who we're serving, the children who are here. Because the way that I see this, our mission is, we are helping parents. We work through the parent, right? We don't work directly with the child. We work through the parent to ensure, to help them, to teach their child the many possible ways of learning, but also to be school ready. Because we know that once their children, they provide that support, they built that foundation in their home or where they live, that their child is going to be much better, but also them. So that's what we're building here, is building that family for the next generation to continue to be successful. And I always say, if you didn't finish your school, your education as a parent caretaker, you know what? That's okay. You can continue with us. You can start with us. I know that many of our parents always had that dream of continuing education, but life happens again, right? Or some of them never had that family support in their home. And I do say this to many, is that some of our families raised themselves, or they were raised by family members who knew parenting, but only knew what they knew about parenting. And you can't judge them. You have to continue. Now you have your own family, and that's where you make the change. You can make the change with your family, but it starts now. And that's how we built that next generation. I truly believe that education is a key to success for our children. Now, I'm not saying that your children have to go straight to college. No, because for some children, some of our technical certification training programs, those are fine. So it's just, the importance is that the parents provide that foundation for learning and figure out each of their child's gifts and talents, and then nurture that. For me, that's important.
Yeah, and that is great that you're sharing. Something that I always said doing when I was a parent educator is Avance and us as a staff, we create those opportunities for our families. And also we want our parents to really understand that it's important to be present. Today, what we're doing with our children, it matters. And that is something that at the end we want our parents to take advantage today and create those learning opportunities with the children. And what advice, Mrs. Yesenia, would you give to a parent that is starting in the program? Those parents that we have parents enrolling their children for the next program year, right? And we're expecting, and yes, we're already doing enrollment for our Head Start and the Head Start, getting ready for the next program year, but also we're building our list for our next parenting group of the parents that are going to start in September. So what would be your advice for those parents that are starting with Avance now?
I would say, don't be afraid to enroll, to attend the parenting class. It is engaging. It is fun. It's also a time where you can bring your children, and we provide that care, that early quality education and care. So it can be a day for you to focus on you as a parent, to sharpen your tools, but also to learn something new. And I think, part of, our parent-child education program is the beauty of how it's organized. We have the toy-making class, we have the community speaker class time, and, your children are with you next door. You don't have to worry about where you're going to leave your child, that you're going to have to drop them off somewhere and then go drive to another place, because we also provide transportation. So your children are right next to you. And I know that for many of our parents, at times it's the first time that they've left their child in a formal setting. But I would always say they're going to be right next to you. And if you need to go check on them, ahí van a estar. They're going to be right next to you. You can peek through the window and check on them, or the teachers will come and give you a report on how they're doing, right? Parent educators. Many times we would go over and observe the classroom and then come back to the parents and say, oh, your children are doing fine. I would say give it a try. But once you start, don't stop, because we will always be there to support you so that you can finish. We want you to start and finish, because many times, and I'm one of those parents too, many times we start things but we don't finish them. And I think honestly that impacts our self-esteem over the years as we're growing,
Of course.
as we're developing. And when you come to Avance and you have that support team, because we become a family for many of them, right? For many of our Avance parents. So I would say, start, don't give up. And if you encounter anything, any issues, any barriers, talk to your parent educator, talk to your staff. You're going to build a relationship with someone at Avance, because there's always that that teacher, that home educator that you're always going to, want to talk to. That's okay. That's what we want to happen. But the important thing is we want you to stay with your children at Avance so that you can experience that beautiful process of starting parenting and then graduating and seeing your children cross stage with their little white cap and gown. I always say that is inspirational, but it's more than inspirational. It is it leaves an imprint in your memory and your soul, because when you see your babies cross stage with you hand in hand, wearing their little white cap and gowns, that right there is the marking, the beginning of their educational journey. And I always tell parents, this is just the beginning of many more graduations for you and your children to come. Don't stop now, continue. So that's important, to see that beginning process to graduation, then continuing on. So that's what I would tell the parents is, give it a try. Yes. Fear is, you have it, but until you take that next step, you won't know what are some of the great experiences and opportunities awaiting for you at Avance.
And that is well said. It's an opportunity, and that's what we want for our parents, to have that opportunity to take advantage of what Avance can offer, but also our mission is so beautiful that we create opportunities not just for our children but also for our parents. And now we are moving to our story time. And I know that Ms. Yesenia already shared many stories, but we want more. Can you share another memorable moment from your career in Avance? Something that I remember this happened and this time I was something that it was a memorable moment at your career in Avance.
I think for me, one of the memorable memories was when I love being a parent educator. That's always going to be in my heart. My passion, being a teacher, supporting parents, teaching our wonderful curriculum. And, when I was offered the opportunity to now transition from parent education to management. Because as a parent educator, I always had a team, a small team, but very strong team, my toy instructor, our home educator, our teachers. But when I was offered the opportunity to transition to a manager now overseeing programs, parenting programs, I was a bit hesitant because it was something new. Remember that fear, right? Fear of the unknown. But I talked with my family. They're supportive. And for me, that was a memorable time in my professional career and growing. So I took on the position and started learning, and this was Rita Sandoval and Rebecca Cervantes. They took me under their wing, and we would be here. It was a pretty lengthy learning curve, and you never stop learning, okay? So that was one of those memorable times. I will also say that during COVID was a learning time too. Continuing my education was a big turning point for me, because I also realized that if I was going to continue to grow at Avance, I also needed to continue my own personal education. And I have my bachelor's, but I also made the decision to start a master's. and this was before COVID. So when I started my master's, I needed to finish it by a certain time, and it was right at that time of COVID. So that was also a memorable event in my life because I was like, okay, we have so much going on here at Avance. What do we do? What do I do? So I said this earlier, I went to talk to my professors. What can I do? How can you help me? I have a timeline to finish, and they supported me. So I was one of those managers, directors that was working on my master's, finished it during COVID and everything else that was going on. So what I want to say here is it's not easy, but you can do it. There is going to be nights, days that you're studying, that you are, doing projects, and your babies are right next to you. You might be in the library, you might be at home, and they're right next to you under the table, or they're asking you for help, but they're right there next to you. And the important thing is that you stay focused and know what you want. You have to stay focused. And for me, it was to stay at Avance, be with Avance, continue our missions work, to be a great manager, the best manager it could be, and then continue on from there. Did I know that I would be in this position as the executive director of Avance? No, honestly, no. But I always, again, prepared myself for what's next, and then continue from there.
And that is great. I always say that the best example that we can give to our children is education, and seeing as a parent our children that we are trying to accomplish and going back to school and earning education. That's the best example that we can leave at the end our children. Education is very important. So now in our advice corner, Ms. Yesenia, what is one piece of advice or resource you would like to share with our listeners, especially let's see our leadership, our also partners, something that you would like to share about Avance to our future, partners and leadership in our community?
Definitely Avance, we have a lot of great new initiatives that are coming, that are here with us now. We have opportunities for partnering with the community. We are developing partnerships. We want to develop partnerships with the local independent school districts that we have here in San Antonio, Bexar County. We want to partner. We want to now go, the next new 5-10 years for Avance is to be where the families are at. And we know that our families with young children are in the schools, the elementary schools, the academies, the charter schools. That's where they're at. So Avance has a new initiative. We call it Parent-Child Education Program, or PCEP expansion, where parents are now, we are going to where the families are at. So we are looking for partners that want to partner with Avance so that we can also go be there in their facilities, in their campuses with parenting, with PCEP. Our teams would be moving with them over there and then partnering. So that's one of our new initiatives. We also have our Avance at a College initiative that we're still working with underway. A lot of logistics, great steps that are happening. This is where Avance's Parent-Child Education Program, right, and adult education would meet, come together on a college setting, on a college campus. We also have a new initiative. Part of the PCEP, Parent-Child Education Program, is our Families Building Communities. I love that curriculum. I was teaching that curriculum many years ago. That part of Avance's curriculum is where parents now are learning about advocacy, leadership in the community. Because again, we're teaching parents to become strong, the best parents they can. But also the important part is that they're also engaged in the community. Being a great parent is wonderful, but what else happens in your neighborhood, on your block where you live? Now, if you live in an apartment complex, that's fine. You could also be the leader, the mentor of your community there. So that is what Families Building Communities teaches, but it also takes parents to the next step to expose them to how does the school district operate? What are the rights of parents with children? How does local government work? what happens? What is that advocacy piece? Being engaged in parent committees, PTAs, that part of the advocacy, so that they can take that with them once their children go into their educational years, formative years at the elementary, middle school, high school, and beyond. So that's FBC. We also have other new initiatives happening. So there's a lot of great things happening at AVANCE. So what I would say is we are looking for partnerships. We're looking for out in the community, organizations, partners that want to learn about AVANCE and that want to help us go to the next 5-10 years of AVANCE, and where we're going to be with our families and our children. So the outreach is important.
Yeah, and this will connect to our next question. What is your vision for the future of AVANCE and the families that we serve here? And this because there's great opportunities, great initiative and program that are coming. And we're so excited because this is a great opportunity for AVANCE, but especially for our chapter. So what is your vision for the future of an AVANCE, connecting with what you just shared with us?
What I envision is, of course, we never do things on our own here at AVANCE. We always have said over the years that we don't want to duplicate. We want to partner with what's already happening out in the community, but we also know that we have a responsibility to this community, to any community where AVANCE is at. And what I envision, and I think also with my leadership, with our leadership at AVANCE, is we envision an AVANCE that is accessible to families, to parents and children. We know that times are changing, have changed. Our way of having parenting education classes and center base, we still have that model, but also I look to trying new ideas, thinking outside the box. Where else can AVANCE be? And also doing partner thinking. Maybe there's spaces that AVANCE has not thought about being at, or that we can be at, and looking at that. I envision an AVANCE that is strong, that is growing, but at the same time, I envision an AVANCE that is supported in our community 100%, by partners, by community organizers, leaders, and we have built a very strong network partnership over the years. But I envision, because AVANCE, again, we can go above and beyond. The future is for us to navigate and to create. But I envision where families and children are coming together and learning environments, so that it's a place of where they feel safe, where they feel welcomed, and that's the AVANCE way, right?
Yes.
And that continues on, and that we take that on to schools, to other communities in San Antonio, Bexar County. And we also, as you know, we have our partnerships in Uvalde, in the surrounding counties. So AVANCE is not just here in San Antonio. We're also in Uvalde and the surrounding counties. So part of our vision, my vision, is to expand our parent-child education programming model to Uvalde and the surrounding counties, because we know that for many of the families in these communities, they have limited resources and access to early childhood education, and that quality early childhood and education. And I think this is where AVANCE needs to be. And that's part of what I see in our vision of where I want AVANCE, but also growing our leadership. We have great talent here at AVANCE, and it's continuing to nourish that and grow that. I'm not sure right now, but I can tell you, I know last year 37% of our employees are AVANCE graduates, and continuing to nourish that for us.
And connecting with what you just shared about our staff, what would be a message that you would like to share with our staff? We have our team. We have teams members. Has Georgette been working with AVANCE for over 30 years? But what will be that message for those new team members that they're joining in AVANCE, and overall for all our AVANCE staff?
First, it would be welcome to AVANCE. You're welcome to our Avance familia, la familia de Avance, bienvenidos. I would say continue learning. It is, if you are starting off as a teacher, then continue learning. Don't stop. Continue getting your education, obtaining your education. If you have been here with us, continue with us, stay with us, but always continue learning. Don't give up on our families, but I know you don't, because if you're here, you don't give up on our families, right? Every day is different. Every day brings a different set of dynamics.
Yes.
But every day is a learning opportunity. Learn one thing every day, and don't give up. Continue learning, growing, and that I would say that just stay always looking for opportunities, but also, and I hold this to me very truly, is always be respectful and treat your peers, your coworkers, families, and children with dignity and respect. That is very important. That is key.
And now we're moving to our rapid fire round. A little bit of fun, and thank you so much for sharing that, because as you mentioned, and before we do this game, that is our mission. Treat our families with dignity, respect, and that is something that we always need to be our motto, or our things, our philosophy with our families. So I'm gonna ask you some quick questions, and you're gonna answer, and you're gonna tell me the first thing that comes through your mind. Okay?
Okay.
In one word, how do you use one word that you use to describe Avance? One word.
One word would be committed.
A book or movie that inspires you.
A book or movie that inspires me is it would be, I have several. One would be, Walk Out.
Very good. What's your go-to self-care activity? Something that you do for yourself, self-care.
Oh, okay. So self-care with me, believe it or not, it's I like to do Zumba.
I knew you were going to answer that. And we still have that pending.
Yes.
If you would have dinner with any historical figure, who would it be? Somebody that you would like to go to dinner. Somebody.
Go to dinner with somebody. I would say the person that I would like to go to dinner with would probably be, there's so many. It would have to be, you're not making this easy for me. I think it would be, blank. I went blank. I think it would have to be
first person that comes
to my mind, Dr. Gloria Rodriguez.
Very good. Very good. And thank you so much, Ms. Yesenia, for sharing your incredible journey, and especially what it's Avance, following our mission. And thank you for your leadership and dedication that inspire us all. Just a quick note, I remember the first time that I saw Ms. Yesenia, she was teaching a parenting class. And I was so amazed the way that she was teaching the class. And at that time, I was a parent, or I was probably a child development teacher. And I remember your long hair, and I'm like, I want to be like Ms. Yesenia teaching. And your classes were amazing. So thank you, Ms. Yesenia, for that. So
thank you. It means a lot. Thank you.
To our listeners, thank you. And remember, all Avance families and our partners and our staff, that education community can unlock endless opportunities. So in our staff, this is what we do. This is what we expect all our team to continue doing, following our mission and our values. This has been Possibility Sheet. This is the name of our podcast, and brought to you by AVANCE San Antonio. I'm Erica Crespo. I'm your Senior Director of Programs, and we will see you soon. Bye. Adios.
Bye.